Tuesday is depicted at the edge of dusk, twilight. In the kitchen, Wendy, dressed in blue, moves about as it evolves into a scene of action. She unleashes a food service-sized container of yellow ingredients, while the TV, a newscaster mirroring Wendy's blue attire, announces impending snow and news about a missing wife. This narrative subtly conceals the murder of a wife from the audience, just as Jack will soon attempt to do. The weatherman, notably, is dressed in yellow. Shelley Duvall appears to reprise her role as Millie from Robert Altman's 1977 film 3 Women. The film's complexity lies in its ghost-like female leads, who simultaneously inhabit one another's identities and stand apart, abjectly removed from the mainstream youth culture of the era. Millie's most iconic scene features a meal crafted entirely from the most synthetic foodstuffs of the American marketplace. A new carpet pattern emerges, blending elements from previous designs, the maize, Navajo, Colorado Indian motifs, and the Mayan Lamotte symbol. This infinity pattern weaves forms reminiscent of the Stargate projections in 2001: A Space Odyssey, acting as extensions of inner consciousness. In that film, the aliens replicate reflections on Bowman's helmet to transform his and our perspective. Here, these patterns signify evolutions of scale and language. Danny will later engage with these forms through vehicles that decrease in scale, moving from a tricycle to die-cast toys. Having moved beyond his repetitive loop, Danny approaches room 237 and sees the mirroring doors. His hands, while resting on the handlebars of his tricycle, also align with the knob shapes formed by the carpet's patterns, 2 doorknobs. He turns the right knob, proving it is locked, and, in essence, activates the hotel, setting its absorbing process into motion. Danny uses the hotel to absorb his abusive father, actively pursuing this despite his visions of blood, dismemberment, and warnings from Halloran to stay away. Multiple references to cartoons suggest this scene might even carry a wordless sense of dark humor, despite the film's genre encouraging fear and curiosity over intent and purpose. Danny appears frightened, but this is largely due to the audience's built-in expectations about his actions and their consequences. This paradox creates an ironic humor. The girls, after all, are slightly smiling. Jack begins his obsessive nocturnal typing and is visited by Wendy, who appears haloed by a spectre-like band of wool rising behind her. His angle is framed by one of the red elevator masks, which shifts behind him in accumulating camera angles. There will ultimately be 3 elevator faces in the Colorado lounge. The symmetric knob shapes of the chair appear to bead upwards, suggesting the chair and its occupant are moving downward. Jack will later fall to the ground, be dragged and framed from below in the dry storage locker, animating into this downward mirror. The knob shapes from the previous hallway scene have followed us here. Now, turned right side up as the desk lamp, they transform the entire desk into a subtle door-shaped hint. After Jack's outburst and the shredding of yellow paper, the black and white typewriter is mysteriously ready to type again. As Wendy departs, a new sheet of paper is already primed. Kubrick emphasizes that these are not continuity errors by accentuating the audio of the manual typewriter. The shift button clicks loudly and distinctly. We are in the mirror of this view. Pay close attention to the 2 distinct background framings around Jack. Wendy's strange halo and supremely clear, otherworldly countenance appear moon-like and perfectly centered. This reminds us that Jack is in a trance world, much like Danny's. While Danny's trance is visual, traveling through TVs and mirrors, Jack's trance is composed of typed words endlessly repeating. Consider what he is really typing and what he might be hiding from his wife. Wendy and Danny, dressed in red and blue against the white snow, run toward the hotel as Jack watches them from inside. The Thursday title indicates the snowfall has lasted 2 days. The forecast on Tuesday predicted snow for the next day. This slow zoom reverses the earlier establishing shot of Jack with his tennis ball. Now he stands transfixed, the room bathed in grey light, with only the burning fire serving as a locus of warmth. Imitating the picture he will eventually become part of, Jack stares at his family from a different conception of time, a different dimension. He is dying. The wind art sculpture that once occupied the central table is gone, replaced by the fire, matching its scale and placement exactly, an animation of forms. Jack's bowed head and upward gaze represent a Kubrickian glyph of knowledge, facing downward, looking forward. Other Kubrick anti-heroes, Alex, A Clockwork Orange, Leonard, Pyle, Bowman, and Bill Harford, have all displayed this same stance. Now Jack succumbs to this interior imbalance. We might label this motif eyes wide shut. In A Clockwork Orange, Alex's false upper eyelash worn on his lower right eye serves as the only true giveaway of his duality. He symbolically hangs it up on his mirror before going to sleep. Crucially, there is a neurological rationale for these patterns, which will be explained in the final part. The question here is, what does Jack see in this shining moment? His eyes shift slightly upward, as though he is leaving his trance. Notice the bright spot on his forehead, reminiscent of his first dissolve into Danny's bathroom scene. Snow blankets the VW Beetle in the hotel's establishing shot, while Wendy appears wearing a Western-style yellow jacket adorned with a Navajo pattern. Upon discovering the hotel's communication system is dead, she uses the radio to contact the US Forest Service, where a US flag is subtly mirrored in the wood. This scene, reminiscent of Hal's prediction of antenna failure in 2001: A Space Odyssey, highlights the fragile connection to the outside world and the federal oversight of territorial control, paralleling the gatekeepers of the space program. Both Wendy and the forest radio operator wear jackets featuring tree emblems, a motif that also appeared in 2001. Kubrick presents various forms of communication: verbal, in-person, line-based, wave transmission, and television, as a suggestion that humanity has yet to fully explore the deeper reaches of contact. The hotel, however, is about to reach out to Danny again, bypassing visible technology entirely. Danny rides his tricycle down the corridor and confronts the paired Grady daughters. The intercutting transitions us from mere observers to users of Danny's sight, as seen earlier in the dart-throwing scene. By using his vision properly, we understand the illusory goal of the hotel. They are not twins. This effort is wasted on Danny, who, through his shining ability, examines their differences more closely. He perceives both sides of this mirror from a single viewpoint. Danny now physically sees what he had only glimpsed in his earlier vision of the corridor, a connection through time. The girls shift to their future, which is our past. They have already been axe-murdered while standing there. The axe that Jack will wield later is prominently displayed here alongside their bodies, like a grisly coat of arms. As with the intercuts of the first elevator bloodshot, the girls' blood splashing connects back to this initial appearance, creating a bond through both action and color. Their pairing above Danny's head eerily mirrors the salt and pepper shakers seen above Wendy during her introductory scene.